Being in this environment actually reminds me of my college experience, and particularly when I think back in college, I think about my senior year in college because I had the most insane schedule in my senior year. I'd crammed all the classes I possibly could into that year. I think it was the maximum the university would allow me to take because I was determined to have one senior year and not 3 senior years and get done. And on top of that, I'd gotten married actually at the beginning of that year too, which has its own set of responsibilities. And I somehow thought it would be a bright idea to start a business. So I went and raised money and had investors and started an internet company with some other guys from school at the beginning of that year as well. And the good news was that the business actually took off. I mean, it really grew quickly. We had customers in 33 different countries, and being college students, we quickly discovered that it's actually daytime in Japan when it's nighttime here because we were providing tech support 24 hours a day. And so during that time, sleep went from being my best friend to being kind of a mere acquaintance. And every once in a while, I would get just a little bit of sleep. You'd kind of fight for 5 minutes when you could get it. And those of you obviously in college know that that's sometimes part of what goes with it. And one Thursday night, I remember I was so tired. It had been just so much going on that week, and I had a project that I had to get done. And so I was sitting in my apartment, and I had a friend over. We were working on this project together. And I was sitting in front of the computer, and I just closed my eyes for a second. And when I opened my eyes, my friend was gone. And I realized that I closed it for just a little bit more than a second, and I'd just fallen asleep with my head straight up, right in front of the computer with my eyes closed. And I looked up at the clock, and it said 7:25 a.m. So I thought for just a second, and I thought, oh no, I've got a meeting that I've got to get to on the other side of campus. It starts at 7:30. So I went right out the door and started running across campus to get to this meeting because this meeting was actually a pretty important meeting. It happened to be a meeting that I was leading. And so I needed to be there because there were 60 people that were assembled in this room. There were students and faculty, including the president of the university that was there waiting for this meeting to begin. And so I ran up to the building, and I kind of slowed my pace down as I got through the door of the building and tried to get my breath so that I could pretend like I was on time and just kind of walking in slowly. And I walked to the front of the room, and I began to lead this meeting. I thought everything was going great in the meeting until it was over, and I started to walk to the door. And one of the professors came up and he said, Bobby, you got something on your forehead. And I was like, okay, no, you might want to take a look. And so I kind of put my hand there. I didn't feel anything, but I walked over to the window where I could see my reflection. And on my forehead were the words, "Wake up," written across my forehead. Yeah, my so-called friend thought it would be funny when I fell asleep to take an ink pen and write the words "wake up" on my head. And so I spent the rest of that day just kind of replaying that scenario in my mind, thinking, if I could just go back again and do that over again, I would have just looked in the mirror maybe before I ran out the door. Just something simple like that. Or if someone could have just told me as I was walking in the building, walking past people with the words "wake up" on my head, that I could have actually avoided that. If I just could have gone back and done that, I would have done it entirely differently, obviously. Maybe if I just would have woken up while he was writing "wake up" on my head, that would have actually been a better scenario as well. So I don't know, how many of you have had those circumstances where you just wish you could go back in time and replay something again? Maybe it wasn't a negative experience or an embarrassing experience like mine was, but maybe it's something that's positive. Maybe it was a missed opportunity, not like a small opportunity like you missed like a Groupon or something, but maybe like a big opportunity, like the opportunity of a lifetime where you were in the right place at the right time. I mean, you were there in the right place in the right time, and all the ingredients were there, but you just missed it. I mean, I just those are the kinds of things that I know I've had some of those in my life where I've just thought that. And when I look kind of in the context where we're at today, kind of in a big broader context in history, I look at several different things. One of these is this population graph. Now, I don't go back, to billions of years. This is just 2,000 years on here, but it's really interesting because Because I think most people that study graphs could look at this and say that something's happening at the end of the graph. There's some indicators that there's change that's taking place there. But I'm less fascinated right now about what the things are that are causing that and the implications of it, like some people study. I'm actually just fascinated by the time slice in history that we occupy. Because, plus or minus, 20 or 30 years, this represents the slice of history and space and time that our lifetimes, occupy on that graph. And to me, that makes it even more unique, because I look and say the slice of time that we're here, we could have been born 1,000 years ago, we could have been born 100 years ago, but no, we're actually born in this unique time in history when the population is growing like it is. There's over 7 billion people that are alive today. It's incredible. And at the exact same time that those 7 billion people are alive, we have this explosion of technology that knits us together with this population like never before in history. The technology is absolutely amazing. I know probably everybody has one of these, this iPhone. And my daughter, I have 3 kids, and my youngest daughter is 7 months old. 7-month-old daughter. She can't crawl, she can't feed herself. She's just a little tiny baby girl, but she's fascinated with my iPhone. In fact, if I have the iPhone anywhere nearby, she's just kind of mesmerized by it. She could just kind of, food's drooling out of her mouth, and she's just looking, watching it. And if I get close to her, she actually takes it out of my hand, and then she starts pinching and zooming and flicking photos and posting things on Facebook and searching. Yeah, so you guys know a 7-month-old can't do that. But what she does do is she takes my phone, though, and she takes it in her hands, and you know what she does? She bangs it on the table, is what she does. And she laughs, and she thinks it's hilarious to bang the iPhone on the table. But then she takes it, and she puts it in her mouth, and she starts to drool down the front of the iPhone and kind of chews on her gums, on the corner of the iPhone. She absolutely loves my iPhone. She has no idea, though, obviously, of the potential that's inside of this or the power of what this phone can do. The technology we have today is powerful. This device, and you may know this, you guys are smart, but this device has more processing power, not just more processing power, it's vastly more processing power than what it took to send somebody to the moon and back, all contained in this little device. Some people actually think that our devices and our technology have too much power. In fact, what I do today is, instead of being in business, I actually take technology and we build mobile applications, and we do lots of stuff with technology for the benefit of the church. And there's some people that are in our field that actually think that technology, that it's inherently evil, that it's maybe something that should be avoided because of how powerful and what it does and what it's become. While there's others that have sort of this utopian view that think technology can absolutely do no wrong whatsoever, that technology is great and it's here to solve all of our problems and it's perfect in every way. Well, both of those people are right and both of those people are wrong. They're wrong because technology, it's amoral. It's not inherently good or inherently evil, but they're right because it can be used in really powerful ways. Us people, we can use technology to do a lot of good, and we can use technology to do things that are definitely not good. Take, for example, my cousin. He invited me about 15 or 16 years ago over to his house because he got a brand new computer. It was his first family computer for their house, and he wanted me to set it up and get him connected to the internet. Now, I was a business guy that had technology companies, but when you're anywhere associated with technology in your family, you become kind of the computer guru. You know how to do everything, apparently, so you get asked to come and help with these types of things. And so I came over to his house, and I set up his computer, and they had a dial-up modem, which many of you have no idea what that is, but it's a very, very slow connection to the internet. And I got it set up and showed him and his wife how to use it, and then I left. A couple of years later, I got this phone call from him, and he was devastated because just the day before, his wife had left him and their 2 young boys to pursue a relationship with a man that she met through that same computer and that same connection that I helped set up. And I just thought, I had no idea when I was setting that up that it would have the power to destroy a 7-year marriage and to kind of impact the lives of these 2 young boys, as they saw what their mom did through it or with it. You contrast that, and another friend of mine spent the first 28 years of her life with the knowledge that her father had left her and her mother and abandoned them and wanted nothing to do with her when she was just an infant. But only to discover that whole story was a lie. That in fact the opposite was true. Her mom had taken her away from her father, and her father had spent years trying to figure out how to be engaged in her life. And it was through technology that he actually saw what she was doing on MySpace and was able to see her wedding photos on Facebook and use that same technology to reach out to her so that she could understand the truth. And that technology united my friend with the father that she didn't think that she had. The same technology that united was the same technology that divided my cousin's family. You see, technology allows grandparents to be able to connect with their grandchildren in a completely different state. But it's also the same technology that allows a pedophile to connect with grandchildren. The same technology that enables us to build a website like eHarmony, where 2 people can try to find their match and maybe get married and spend the rest of their life together, is actually the same technology that can create a website like Ashley Madison, where 2 married people can intentionally try to connect to have an affair. The same technology that can help elect a president is the same technology that can help topple governments. The same technology that can allow someone, as they're traveling on business, to be able to Skype with their family and stay connected in their hotel room is the same technology in the very next hotel room that can allow someone to connect to pornography. The same technology that can have a Harvard student invest themselves in developing a website that would ultimately make them a multi-billionaire is the same technology that can take someone who is wealthy and cause them to lose it all through an online addiction to gambling. Now, I know you're thinking that those extremes are not where you're at. Maybe you're not going to use technology in such a destructive way, and I bet you're probably right, but it is a demonstration of how powerful these tools can be in the hands of us humans and what we can do with these tools and technologies. And we already know that there's many people that are part of TED and speakers that are doing fantastic things and fantastic good with technology. But unfortunately, where a lot of us sit is sort of in the middle, and we do nothing with it. I don't mean we don't use it. We use it for sure. I mean, we're tweeting, we're texting, we're liking things, we're commenting on things, we're posting things, we're slingshotting birds that are angry into all sorts of things. I mean, we're doing lots of things that are interesting, but we're not doing lots of things that are significant, and we're not doing lots of things that carry a sense of responsibility of what could be. In many ways, some of us are not too unlike my infant daughter, just banging the iPhone on the table. We're using it, we're enjoying it, but we're seemingly unconscious or unaware of the potential and the power of what could be and how it could be used in such a positive and effective way in our lives. The only difference that was we're not 7 months old. I think we're actually far more capable than that. I want to share with you this video. And this video is using the first form of communication, the spoken word, in order to demonstrate and analyze some of the use and misuse that we have of technology and how it affects our lives.
Woven into each and every one of us, there is an inner net. We connect to each other, thread to thread, cell to cell, heart to heart. When formed correctly, the net forms community, and we catch boatloads of life. We all yearn to be hewn in this collection, for it is the human connection. It's the reason why we have eyes, tongues, and lips, so we can be intertwined together as we see, speak, and kiss. It's the reason why we have right and left hands, so when my right reaches your left, pinkies, rings, middles, pointers, and thumbs interconnect in the loom of the human thread. But we have become disconnected by nations and nationalities, language and legalities, wars and quarantines, prejudices and bigotry. The net of humanity has been severed severely as we cut ourselves off in the pursuit of individuality. And in the midst of this shrinking world sensation, many are placing the blame on technology. As we burrow into our browsers, unplug by plugging in for hours, miss blue skies while working in the cloud, laugh out loud without laughing out loud. Humanity seems to be disconnecting at the one point in history when it is the most connected. But just as to the good, we are not entirely compliant nor entirely resistant, neither is this tool entirely consistent. For the problems of our world used to be too big and too distant to connect to and know of its widespread existence. But now our world is too small and too close for us not to make a difference. We can now connect crowds around a cause, the ignorant to knowledge, the isolated to college, orphans to their fathers, donors to nonprofits, and injustices to those who can stop it. We can now see our newborn nephew, a revolution breakthrough, the troops as they withdrew, uncensored world news and what is and is not true. We can now hear cries from Thailand, shouts from Somalia, and can shove our arms elbow deep through our screens, reach out and touch them. But so often we use this tool to ignore them and the rest of those humans. For just as fire can be used for warmth or destruction, we misuse URLs, firewalling off the world with distractions. We search daily but find nothing, add friends but lose community, look for love but get pornography, try to discover ourselves but lose our identity. And though this entity is filled with both healing and brokenness, guilt and innocence, some of what's godly and some of what's devilish, that does not detract from its significance. When it comes down to it, the true nature of this new age unit is in how we use it. Woven into each and every one of us, there is an inner net, and I pray we may stitch our world back together as we knit, patch, and connect.
So when I see that video, in spite of my best efforts, I still see things that I do and actions I do embedded in the words that he just said. And what I think about on a consistent basis is that I don't want to miss this opportunity in the same way that I talked about earlier in the talk. We're alive in this unique time in history where we have these amazing tools that we could use in such amazing and positive ways. If we just don't miss it, we can use them in ways that are significant and with a level of responsibility, what we do. So my challenge to you is the same challenge that I bring to myself each and every day. And it were those two words that were written on my head 16 years ago. Wake up. Thank you very much.